And we are joined now by Tennessee Republican Congressman and member of the House Oversight Committee, Congressman Tim Burchett. Congressman, I thought it was riveting. I was watching the hearing. I was glued as the whistleblowers really painted a clear picture of obstruction and interference into the Hunter Biden probe by the Biden DOJ. This was really damning testimony. What actions do you expect your committee is going to take after hearing from them? And the fact that whistleblower X, Joseph Ziegler, came full face. He said, here's my name, here's who I am. I had to come forward.
Well, it was very compelling. You're correct. It was actually riveting. I stayed several hours, almost, I think 4 hours. To watch it all, and it was what struck me was just the honesty of the men and just their diverse backgrounds. I mean, you obviously had a straight male, probably conservative, a gay man who obviously was under a great deal of distress over this. You know, that they outed his husband and all this other stuff that was brought out in testimony. And the thing was, these gentlemen their credentials were impeccable, ma'am. They were impeccable. And no one ever, even the Democrats, they snipped at it a little bit, but they did not question their credibility during the hearing. And that's why most of the Democrats, they just started talking about Trump and some other wild two-tiered system of justice, when clearly the two-tier system of justice is the Bidens and everybody else. You know, this is, in this 1023 report, my gosh, that's the 10th person to come forward to link the Biden family to bribery. And just the details that these two gentlemen brought out were incredible. It's a Tom Clancy novel. It just writes itself.
Yeah, you're right. There were a lot of twists and turns. And it was interesting to see the Democrats, like you said, they were like almost in another universe. I think it was Congressman Nfume who said, beam me up, Scotty. You know, he was using all these bizarre analogies. One moment stood out to me, Congressman, in particular, and it was this line of questioning, and it was from Congressman Jason Smith over excluding also the Biden grandchildren from the investigation and other family members, really, by the DOJ. I want you to watch this.
You also testified that Assistant United States Attorney Leslie Wolf told you that you would get into hot water if interviewed the president's grandchildren.
In this case, we needed to talk to witnesses related to things that were deducted on the tax return. And in this case, it was the adult children that we needed to talk to.
What was your reaction and they said this was not par for the course, that typically they're allowed to go to any direct family members, especially because they were saying the grandkids receive money, and it defies logic. Why would grandkids be getting money from these rogue individuals?
Yes, ma'am. Well, it defies logic that they'd set up 21 LLCs and bank accounts to launder this money. And it just goes, it really, you know, the whole thing, everybody knows Hunter Biden's a dirtbag. You know, and Joe won't admit he's got a grandchild because Hunter fathered it through a stripper. Everybody knows all that. But what's really should be disturbing to the American public is our Justice Department refuses to prosecute them. There's not one, not two, not three. This is the 10th person has come forward to link them to bribery. And you look at Burisma, $10 million. Good gosh, this guy can't pour water out of a boot if the instructions are written on the heel. And then now the IRS is being threatened by their supervisors, the own IRS, that you got to realize the Democrats were a few months ago were saying how great the IRS was and we need to hire 82,000 more agents. And now they're the most despicable humans on the face of the earth. And it just goes to show you the level of corruption that this goes to, that these IRS agents weren't able to interview folks. And, you know, and it goes back to, too, you know, Hunter writing off hookers and strippers for his own taxes. These are the kind of things that they discovered. And also, I think it needs to be pointed out that these two men that came forward, these whistleblowers, these are not your rank and file IRS agents. These are the ones they call in for the very specific detail-oriented things. These aren't the ones you get on you try to get on the phone when you call the 1-800 number and on hold for 9 hours. These are the people that they send in going after the major cases, and yet they were denied access to witnesses. That is very chilling to me. That is a chilling effect upon the Justice Department and the very nature of what we're getting at here.
Yeah, 1,000%. And when you hear their background, Shapley, including, was, talking about all the different countries that he had done investigations in. Joe Ziegler, I think 13 years directly on this case. I want to also talk, you brought up the 1023. This is the FBI informant document, which was really powerful to see. We've been hearing about it. You guys had access to it, but now the American public has had access. This is what Grassley released. And I want to show just a little bit about it, because in it, the Burisma boss basically claims, as you talked about, his dog was smarter than Hunter Biden, and that Hunter was only hired to protect them through his dad. He also claimed that he was, quote, coerced to pay the Bidens for their services. And you brought up it was $5 million to one Biden, $5 million to the other. He had multiple conversations. This was a credible whistleblower who was paid high seven figures, had a track record in the FBI. So there's some background to this that's very significant. When you put all this together, Congressman, is this a game changer? And it begs the question, so, all right, did they ever interview the Burisma guy? I understand the daughter also has audio recordings, too. Where does it go?
Well, in any other world, if this was indicting President Trump, I'm sure they would already have heated up the electric chair for him. But this is Joe Biden. So this is the great frustration. I think the American public needs to see this. This is what happens when 20 million people decide not to go to the polls. This is who you get in the White House, and this is the Justice Department that you get. These are folks, this is the swamp, folks. This is corruption at its highest level. These people are getting away with everything. And yet, you and I, if we sell over $600 worth of material on eBay, we get a letter from the IRS. This is real, folks. You need to get engaged, and you need to get ticked off, because I'll guarantee you, this Justice Department will not do a dadgum thing. You can have pictures, you can have video, you can have audio, you can have anything you want, and people come in, informants. And you got to realize this 1023 report was the informant was an FBI, not a Republican informant, not a Democrat informant, not somebody just straight off the street. This is somebody they trusted and had used in the past. And yet this went nowhere. And now they're going to try to say, to cover this up even further, to say we're not allowed to bring any more evidence because this is a continued investigation. How long do they have to investigate this? This is over 5 years in running. This started under Trump's administration, for goodness sakes.
Yeah, it is a long time. And real quick, before I let you go, Congressman, I just want to get your take on this, because, of course, former President Trump is now saying he believes that another federal indictment is imminent. And this one, of course, tied to January 6th. Does this really feel like a pile-on versus Trump now more than ever? I mean, it's like one a month, it seems.
Well, if they want Trump to be the Republican nominee, they couldn't do any more. I was with President Trump a couple of weeks ago at Bedminster, and, I was telling him, I said, look, every time they pop you, your numbers just keep going up. Why would you even debate at this point? And this is ridiculous. The American public is not buying this. Even his opponents aren't buying this. It's just joked about and laughed about in Washington, because we all know what's going on. The American public knows what's going on. This is just piling on. You are 100% correct, ma'am, and thank you. And I love the red dress. I got the memo. I wore my red shirt today.
I see that. I'm glad we both got the memo. Congressman, really great to have you here. Thank you, Congressman Tim Burchett.
It's always a pleasure. And thank y'all for putting the truth out there. It's needed. The legacy media their numbers are dropping like a rock, and you all are shooting up like a rocket. So thank you for what you do for us, ma'am.
Thank you very, very much. We appreciate it.